My sister stole my promotion by sleeping with my boss, and my family blamed me for being jealous. I spent 40 years building a reputation I could be proud of. I worked late nights, took on impossible projects, and mentored junior colleagues without expecting anything in return. I thought my hard work would speak for itself. I thought my integrity would be enough, but I was wrong. When I was passed over for the promotion I'd been working toward for over a decade, I couldn't understand why. My younger sister, Monica, had been at the company for half the time and had half the qualifications. Yet she got the job. Then the rumors started. Whispers in the break room, knowing glances in meetings. Monica had been sleeping with the CEO. She'd been manipulating him for months, feeding him lies about me, sabotaging my reputation. And when I confronted her, she laughed and told me I was just too slow. When I confronted my mother, she told me I was being jealous and should let it go. I didn't let it go. I fought back. The promotion was supposed to be mine. I'd been at the company for 12 years, climbing the ladder one rung at a time. I'd started as an entry-level analyst and worked my way up to senior manager through sheer determination and long hours. I'd taken on the projects no one else wanted, mentored the junior staff, and consistently delivered results that exceeded expectations. The vice president position was the natural next step. It was the culmination of everything I'd worked for. I remember the morning of the announcement. I'd dressed carefully in my best suit, my heart pounding with anticipation. I'd prepared a speech in my head, a gracious acceptance that acknowledged my team and my mentors. I'd imagined the congratulations from my colleagues, the pride in my husband's eyes, the sense of validation that I'd finally arrived. But when the CEO, Howard, called me into his office, his expression was apologetic. "Hannah," he said, avoiding my eyes, "I'm afraid we've decided to go in a different direction. Monica has been selected for the vice president position." I stared at him, my brain refusing to process his words. "Monica, my sister Monica? Yes, she's been with us for 6 years and she's shown remarkable initiative. We believe she's the right fit for this role." I opened my mouth to speak, but no words came. 6 years? Monica had been at the company for 6 years. I'd been there for 12. I'd trained her, mentored her, helped her navigate the politics of the office, and now she was getting the promotion I'd earned. "Howard," I said finally, my voice shaking, "I don't understand. I've been working toward this for years. I've exceeded every target. I know, Hannah," he cut in, his voice weary. "I know you've worked hard, but the board felt Monica brought something different to the table. Something we needed. Something different." The phrase echoed in my head. What could Monica possibly bring that I couldn't? I left his office in a daze. I walked past my colleagues, past the cubicles and conference rooms, past the water cooler where people were whispering and staring. I could feel their eyes on me, their pity and curiosity. I walked to my desk, sat down, and stared at the computer screen without seeing it. It wasn't until later that I heard the rumors. A junior associate, someone I'd mentored, pulled me aside in the break room. "Hannah," she said, her voice low, "I think you should know what people are saying." My heart sank. "What are they saying?" "About Monica and Howard. People have seen them together, late at night, in his office. They've been close. Really close. And some people think that's why she got the promotion." I felt the blood drain from my face. Monica had been sleeping with Howard. Monica had used their relationship to get the job. Monica had stolen my promotion. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to think my sister could be so calculating, so ruthless. But the evidence was mounting. The whispers, the glances, the way Monica strutted through the office like she owned the place. It all made sense. I confronted Monica that evening. I drove to her apartment, my hands shaking, my heart pounding. She opened the door with a casual smile as if nothing had happened. "Hannah!" What a surprise. "What brings you here?" "Don't play dumb," I said, pushing past her into the apartment. "I know about you and Howard. I know how you got the promotion." Her smile didn't waver. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do. You slept with him. You manipulated him. You used him to steal my job." Monica laughed, a cold, brittle sound. "Steal your job? Please, Hannah. You were never going to get that promotion. You're too slow, too cautious, too boring. You've been at that company for 12 years, and you still don't understand how things really work." "How things really work? You mean sleeping your way to the top?" "I mean knowing how to get what you want," she said, her eyes glittering. "You've always been so righteous, so moral. You think hard work is enough, but it's not. You have to be willing to do whatever it takes, and you're just not." I felt like I'd been slapped. "You're my sister, and you did this to me." "I did what I had to do," she said, shrugging. "You should be happy for me. I finally got something you couldn't." I turned and walked out of her apartment. I couldn't stay there another minute. I couldn't look at her. I called my mother that night. I needed support, understanding, someone to tell me I wasn't crazy. Instead, I got something else entirely. "Hannah, honey," my mother said, her voice heavy with disapproval. "I heard about what happened. Monica called me. She's really upset." "Upset?" I repeated, incredulous. "Mom, she stole my promotion. She slept with my boss. She destroyed my career. And you're worried about her feelings?" "Hannah, you need to understand. Monica has been struggling. She's been trying so hard to make something of herself. And you've always been so successful. She just wanted a chance to shine. You should be happy for her." "Happy for her?" I felt like I was in a nightmare. "She stole from me, Mom. She took something I worked for, something I earned. And you're telling me to be happy?" "I'm telling you to be the bigger person," my mother said, her voice sharpening. "You're her sister. You should be supporting her. Instead, you're attacking her and spreading rumors. It's not a good look, Hannah." I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. My mother was defending the woman who had destroyed my career. She was making me the villain. "Mom, I can't do this right now." I said, my voice barely a whisper. I have to go. I hung up and sat in the silence of my apartment, feeling the walls close in around me. My sister had stolen from me. My mother had blamed me, and I was completely, utterly alone. The weeks that followed were a blur of humiliation and betrayal. I had to work alongside Monica, watching her strut through the office like she owned the place. I had to listen to her give orders to people who used to report to me. I had to smile and nod when people congratulated her on her well-deserved promotion. I started looking for other jobs. I updated my resume, reached out to recruiters, and went on interviews. But the market was tough, and I was 40, too old to start over and too experienced to be entry-level. Every rejection felt like another nail in my coffin. I started drinking, just a glass of wine at first, then 2, then 3. It helped numb the pain, the humiliation, the rage. I stopped sleeping, I stopped eating, I stopped caring. My husband, Thomas, tried to help. He held me when I cried, listened when I ranted, and begged me to get help. But I pushed him away. I couldn't bear to look at him, to see the pity in his eyes. One night, I hit rock bottom. I was sitting on the floor of my living room, surrounded by empty wine bottles, when I realized I couldn't go on like this. I couldn't let Monica win. I couldn't let her destroy me. I called a therapist the next morning. Her name was Dr. Barnes, and she was patient, kind, and completely unimpressed by my self-pity. Hannah, she said, you've been wronged, terribly wronged, but you're letting the person who wronged you define your life. You're letting her win. What am I supposed to do? I asked, my voice cracked and raw. Fight back, she said, not with anger, not with revenge, with action. Document everything, find witnesses, build a case, and when you're ready, take it to HR. I didn't think I had the strength, but something in her words stirred something deep inside me. I wasn't going to let Monica destroy me. I was going to fight. I started documenting everything. I gathered evidence of the affair. Emails, text messages, photos. I found witnesses, colleagues who'd seen Monica and Howard together. I built a case, piece by piece, and when I was ready, I took it to HR. The meeting with HR was one of the most terrifying moments of my life. I sat in a small conference room across from 2 stern-faced women who represented the company's human resources department. They listened to my story without interrupting, their expressions carefully neutral. I laid out the evidence, the emails, the text messages, the witness statements, the pattern of favoritism that had been going on for months. When I finished, there was a long silence. Ms. Harrison, one of them finally said, this is very serious. We'll need to conduct a full investigation. In the meantime, we ask that you keep this confidential. We don't want to create a hostile work environment. I nodded, though I felt anything but confident. I'd just accused my sister and the CEO of misconduct. I'd just put my career, my reputation, and my future on the line. There was no going back. The investigation took 3 weeks. During that time, I walked through the office like a ghost. People whispered when I passed. They stared. They avoided eye contact. Monica, of course, acted like nothing was happening. She walked around with her head held high, laughing and chatting with colleagues, as if she hadn't just been accused of sleeping her way to the top. But I noticed something. Howard was avoiding her. He'd stopped coming to her office, stopped attending the meetings she led, stopped acknowledging her existence. The tension between them was palpable. It was only a matter of time before everything fell apart. My mother called me during the investigation. Her voice was cold, accusatory. Hannah, I heard you went to HR. I heard you're trying to get Monica fired. How could you? Mom, she committed misconduct, I said, keeping my voice steady. She slept with the CEO. She used that relationship to steal my promotion. She broke company policy. She broke the law. I didn't do anything wrong. You're destroying your sister's life, my mother hissed. I hope you're proud of yourself. I hung up. I couldn't argue with her anymore. She'd made her choice. The day the investigation concluded, I was called into another conference room. This time it was just me and one of the HR representatives. Her face was grim. Ms. Harrison, we've completed our investigation, she said. We found sufficient evidence to support your claims. Monica has been terminated, effective immediately. Howard has also been terminated. The board is deeply sorry for what happened, and they want to offer you the vice president position. I stared at her, my mind reeling. I'd won. I'd actually won. Monica was gone. Howard was gone, and I was getting the job I'd earned. But the victory felt hollow. I'd lost my sister. I'd lost my mother. I'd lost the family I'd once believed in, and I wasn't sure if I could ever get them back. I accepted the promotion, but I didn't celebrate. I went home that night, poured myself a glass of wine, and sat in the darkness of my living room. Thomas found me there, his eyes full of concern. Hannah, what's wrong? You got what you wanted. You won. I shook my head slowly. I don't feel like I won. I feel like I lost. He sat down beside me and wrapped his arm around my shoulders. You didn't lose. You stood up for yourself. You fought for what was right. That takes courage. But at what cost? I asked. My sister hates me. My mother hates me. My family is destroyed. Thomas was quiet for a moment. Your family was already destroyed, he said gently. It was destroyed the moment Monica decided to betray you. You didn't do this, she did. You just refused to let her get away with it. I knew he was right. But knowing and feeling were two different things. Monica's termination was the talk of the office for weeks. People whispered, gossiped, speculated. Some were on my side, others were not. I tried to ignore it, to focus on my new role, to prove that I deserved the position. But the whispers followed me everywhere. Then, a few weeks after everything happened, I received a letter from Monica. It was short and bitter. Hannah, congratulations. You got what you wanted. You destroyed my career, my reputation, and any chance I had at happiness. I hope you're proud of yourself. I hope you sleep well at night. You've always been jealous of me, and now you've finally gotten your revenge. I'm done with you. I'm done with this family. Don't bother contacting me. I read the letter 3 times, trying to find any trace of remorse, any hint that she understood what she'd done. But there was nothing. Just anger, bitterness, and blame. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. My mother called me a few days later. Her voice was different, quieter, sadder. Hannah, I got a letter from Monica. She's cutting us off. She's moving away. She said she never wants to see any of us again. I felt a pang of sadness despite everything. I'm sorry, Mom. Don't be, she said, her voice cracking. I've been thinking about everything, about what I said to you, about how I treated you, and I realize now that I was wrong. I was so busy trying to protect Monica that I didn't see what she was doing to you. I didn't see the pain I was causing. I'm so sorry, Hannah. I listened to her apologize, feeling a strange sense of relief. I'd waited so long to hear those words, and now that they'd come, I didn't know what to do with them. Thank you, Mom, I said finally. That means a lot. Can you forgive me? She asked, her voice small. I hesitated. I'm not sure I can, Mom. Not yet, but I'm willing to try. It wasn't a perfect reconciliation, but it was a start. Monica moved to another city, as far from us as she could get. I heard through the grapevine that she'd found a job at a small company, nothing like the corporate world she'd been in before. I hoped she was happy. I hoped she'd found peace. I threw myself into my new role as vice president. I was determined to prove that I deserved the position, that I'd earned it on my own merit. I worked harder than I ever had, taking on challenges that would have intimidated my old self. And slowly I started to rebuild my reputation. Thomas was my rock through it all. He encouraged me, supported me, and never let me forget that I was stronger than I thought. We started talking about the future, about children, about retirement, about the life we wanted to build together. For the first time in a long time, I felt hopeful, but I still thought about Monica. I thought about the sister I'd once loved, the sister who'd betrayed me. I thought about the years we'd spent growing up together, the shared memories, the bond we'd once had. I missed her. I hated that I missed her. One evening, I found myself scrolling through old photos on my phone. There was a picture of Monica and me at a family barbecue, our arms around each other, both of us laughing. I'd forgotten that moment. I'd forgotten that we'd once been close. I set the phone down and tried to push the memories away, but they lingered. I didn't hear from Monica for 3 years. 3 years of silence. 3 years of wondering if she was okay. 3 years of trying to reconcile the sister I'd once loved with the woman who'd betrayed me. I thought about her often, especially during holidays and family gatherings. There was always an empty seat at the table, a missing voice in the laughter. My mother never mentioned her name, but I could see the grief in her eyes. She'd lost a daughter, and she knew it was partially her fault. I threw myself into my work, building a reputation as one of the most effective vice presidents the company had ever had. I mentored young women, advocating for diversity and transparency in promotions. I made sure that no one else would ever experience what I'd been through. It was my way of turning pain into purpose. Thomas and I bought a house in the suburbs, a modest colonial with a big backyard and a wraparound porch. We adopted a golden retriever named Buddy and started talking seriously about starting a family. For the first time in years, I felt like I was building something that couldn't be taken away from me, but the scars remained. I still had nightmares about that day in Howard's office. I still flinched when I heard whispers in the break room. I still struggled to trust people, to believe that their kindness was genuine. Then, on a cold November evening, I received a letter. The handwriting was familiar. Monica's loopy, uneven script. I stared at the envelope for a long time, my heart pounding. I didn't know if I could bear to read it, but something made me tear it open. Dear Hannah, it began. I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I know I've hurt you in ways I can never undo, but I need you to know that I've changed. I've been in therapy for 3 years. I've been working through all the anger, the jealousy, the desperation that made me do what I did. I felt tears prick at my eyes. I didn't know if I could believe her, but I kept reading. I was so consumed by my own pain that I couldn't see yours. I thought I deserved everything you had. The career, the respect, the love. I thought I was entitled to take whatever I wanted because life had been so unfair to me. But I was wrong. I was so wrong. I didn't just steal your promotion. I stole your peace of mind. I stole your trust. I stole our relationship. She wrote about her therapy, the hard work of confronting her demons. She wrote about the loneliness of being estranged from our family, the weight of knowing she'd destroyed something precious. She wrote about the job she'd found, a small nonprofit that helped women who'd been victims of domestic abuse. I see women every day who've been betrayed by the people who were supposed to love them, she wrote. And I realized I was one of the people who'd caused that kind of pain. I was the betrayer, not the betrayed. I've spent years trying to make amends, to become someone you could be proud of. I don't know if I'll ever get there, but I'm trying. The letter ended with an invitation. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I don't deserve a second chance. But if you're willing, I'd like to see you. I'd like to try to rebuild what I broke. No expectations, no pressure. Just two sisters trying to find their way back to each other. I set the letter down and stared out the window. The sky was gray, heavy with the promise of snow. I thought about everything Monica had done, everything she'd taken from me. I thought about the years of pain, the therapy, the nightmares. I thought about the empty seat at the table, the missing voice in the laughter. And I thought about the sister I'd once loved, the sister I'd grown up with, the sister who'd taught me how to ride a bike and held my hand when I was scared. She was still in there somewhere, buried under years of anger and jealousy. Maybe she was trying to find her way back. I talked to Thomas about it that night. He listened without interrupting, his hand resting on mine. "What do you want to do?" he asked. "I don't know," I admitted. Part of me wants to tear up the letter and pretend I never saw it. Part of me wants to scream at her. And part of me, I paused, taking a shaky breath. Part of me wants to see her, to find out if she's really changed. "Then do it," he said. "But don't do it for her. Do it for yourself. Do it because you deserve closure, whether she's changed or not." I wrote back to Monica the next day. I kept it brief. "Dear Monica," I wrote, "I got your letter. I've thought a lot about what you said. I'm not ready to forgive you. I'm not ready to trust you, but I'm willing to see you. One time. No promises. Just two sisters trying to figure out if there's anything left to salvage." We met at a small cafe in the city. Neutral ground. I arrived early, my palms sweating, my heart racing. When Monica walked in, I almost didn't recognize her. She looked different, softer, smaller, like she'd shed a layer of armor I hadn't known she was wearing. "Hannah," she said, her voice trembling. "Thank you for coming." I nodded, gesturing for her to sit. I wasn't sure I would. "I know. I didn't expect you to." She sat down, her hands wrapped around a cup of coffee she didn't drink. "I've been thinking about what I want to say to you. I've been rehearsing it for weeks. But now that you're here, I don't know where to start." "Start at the beginning," I said. "Tell me why." She took a deep breath. "I was so angry, Hannah, so jealous. You had everything I wanted, the career, the respect, the love of our parents. I felt like I was invisible, like nothing I did would ever be enough. And instead of dealing with my own pain, I decided to take yours. I thought if I could have what you had, I'd finally feel like I mattered." She told me about the loneliness of her childhood, the desperate need for attention, the spiral of self-destruction that had led her to Howard. She told me about the night she'd decided to sleep with him, the moment she'd known she was crossing a line she couldn't uncross. "I knew it was wrong," she said. "I knew I was hurting you, but I was so desperate that I didn't care. I convinced myself that you deserved it, that you had too much and I had too little. I convinced myself that I was the victim." I listened without interrupting, feeling a strange mix of emotions: anger, sadness, and a flicker of something that might have been understanding. "I'm not going to tell you I forgive you," I said finally. "I'm not there yet. Maybe I'll never be there. But I want you to know that I see you. I see the work you've done. I see the person you're trying to become. And I'm proud of you." Monica's eyes filled with tears. "I don't deserve that." "Probably not," I said, "but I'm giving it to you anyway." We talked for hours that day, about everything and nothing. It wasn't a reconciliation. It was too raw, too painful for that, but it was a beginning. Over the next few months, we slowly rebuilt our relationship. It was fragile, tentative, full of setbacks and misunderstandings, but we kept trying. We kept showing up for each other. My mother was overjoyed when she heard we were talking again. She cried when I told her, her voice thick with emotion. "I thought I'd lost both of you," she said. "I thought I'd ruined everything." "You didn't ruin everything, Mom," I said. "You made mistakes. We all did. But we're trying. That's what matters." The holidays that year were different. Monica came to Christmas dinner for the first time in years. She brought a homemade pie and a tentative smile. My mother hugged her so tightly I thought she might break. My father, ever the peacemaker, cracked a joke that made everyone laugh. We sat around the table, eating and talking and laughing. It wasn't perfect. It would never be perfect. But it was real. It was ours. I thought about everything we'd been through. The betrayal, the pain, the years of silence. I thought about the sister who'd tried to destroy me and the mother who'd let her. I thought about the long, painful road that had led us here. And I realized that forgiveness wasn't about forgetting. It was about finding a way to move forward, even when the past still hurt. I looked around the table at my imperfect, broken, beautiful family, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years: hope. Monica caught my eye across the table and smiled. It was a small smile, tentative and uncertain, but it was real. I smiled back.